Joined by Will Order tonight. We're going to be talking some college hoops. Naturally, March is tomorrow for the love of the sports betting gods. Cameron Salerno is going to be joining us via video here in a second. Of course, he writes for CBS Sports. Already got some action underway tonight. VCU breaking out a can right now on Davidson. Last check, they were up 16-5. I think they got up like 13-1 in that game. Heavy favorites. Of course, we're all waiting on pins and needles a little bit later on for the marquee matchup this evening in Mackey Arena, one of the greatest places in all of college basketball to watch a game. By the way, VCU 20-11 now, 11:06 to go there in the first half. That, of course, is against Purdue and UCLA. Excited to see that game. And, of course, the wall-to-wall action, sun up to sundown, we're going to have across the college hardwood tomorrow. Just a friendly reminder, you want to talk a little college basketball with us, all you got to do to get a hold of us here on the program is you pick up the phone and dial us, fools, 833-732-3875, 833-732-3875. You can also hit us up on the X or the Twitter at BetMGM tonight, where we have our pole dancing poll question of the day, and it's asking you this: what weekend game in college hoops are you most excited to bet on? Is it Auburn and Kentucky, Wisconsin, Michigan State on Sunday, Alabama, Tennessee, or Texas Tech, Kansas? Over 100 votes cast. Make your voice be heard. Exercise your democratic rights. Got any comments for us? Drop those in. And keep the votes coming as well on X at BetMGM tonight. On X at BetMGM tonight. Let's go ahead and bring in Cameron Salerno right now through the power of animated picture and sound. He's an esteemed writer of college basketball for CBS Sports. Make sure you give him a follow on X, where he's always giving it to you there at Cameron Salerno 1. Again, on X at Cameron Salerno 1. Cameron, welcome to BetMGM tonight. Straight away for me, Kansas regained some confidence the last couple of outings, but it was gets the dregs of the keg in the Big 12. They beat up on Oklahoma State. It really just skirted by Colorado up there along the Flatirons and Boulder, but they're back in the fog tomorrow, and they're facing a possibly we'll see if they got all the parts, Texas Tech team. What's your scout on this game? BetMGM right now has the Jayhawks. They opened as a 5.5-point favorites, and I don't think that line is budged. So give me your thoughts on Red Raiders and Jayhawks.
Well, thanks for having me on. And just I want to say, first off, it's almost March, best time of the year. We talked about it off
Yes.
there. I'm so excited for March Madness, so just so thankful that the calendar has reached March. About, this game this weekend, I will say, Texas Tech has been kind of banged up as of late, and I know they might get some key players back. It's not 100% sure. But I will say, first off, JT Toppin is incredible. I know people who watched him maybe last year. If you're a Mountain West sicko, if you stayed up late on the East Coast or on the West Coast, you maybe saw him play last year. But he's an absolute stud. I think he's an All-American candidate. He's been just playing incredible. I think he had a stretch where he scored 25 plus and of I think 3 or 4 games. So just really good player. And for Kansas, I think the biggest question mark for this team is how are they going to shoot the 3 ball? Against Oklahoma State, they had one of their best 3-point outings of the season. And then they followed up when they played Colorado by having one of their worst. So we'll see what Kansas team shows up on this weekend. So I'm really intrigued. But, this is a brutal schedule for Kansas to end the year. They play Arizona, they play Houston, and obviously Texas Tech as well. So this is like a mini tournament before the NCAA tournament and the Big 12 tournament for Kansas. And, I think we're going to find out a lot about this team in the next, few weeks leading up to Selection Sunday and just, can they still make a run? They were the preseason #1 team, and I didn't really buy it. I would have had Alabama as my preseason #1 team coming into the season. But we'll see how Kansas responds because, a few weeks ago when they lost to BYU, I think by 34 points, it was tied for the largest loss under Bill Self, and it was rock bottom, I think, for Kansas this season and honestly maybe, even the last few years of Bill Self's tenure at the school.
Cameron, you were talking about the difficult schedule that Kansas has had to go through. I think there's one team that's had a harder schedule that they had to go through the end of the year, and that's the Alabama Crimson Tide. Right now, they're going to be on the road tomorrow taking on number 5 Tennessee. They are plus 3.5 dogs in this game. Is Alabama going to be able to win this game, or should there be some fear with Crimson Tide fans that they have been beaten up for so long on this stretch that maybe they start to falter a little bit going into the SEC conference tournament?
I wrote about this today on CBSSports.com, and you can read it when it comes out. But the first sentence I wrote is the wrong team is favored in this game. I think Alabama's better than Tennessee. And this is also a huge game for the number one line. If Tennessee wins this game over Alabama, they will have a strong case to be a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. Alabama, like you said, I mean, you look at their schedule that started a few weeks ago, how they've had to play, I think, 7 ranked teams in a row to close the season. And that's not even counting the SEC tournament, which could see them play, 2 or 3 more ranked teams and, potentially maybe even Auburn in the final game of the regular season and also the SEC tournament final if, they go 1-2. But I really love this Alabama team. I mean, it starts and ends with Mark Sears. Like, if Mark Sears is on his A game, Alabama is going to go far in the NCAA tournament again. But it doesn't even stop with Sears either because they are one of the deepest teams in college basketball. I love their roster. LeBaron Philon is one of the most fun freshmen in the sport. I think him and Mark Sears in the backcourt together is just a fun pairing. So I really love this Alabama team, and I think they're going to, win and cover outright on the road.
Cameron, I've been watching a lot of WCC action because I'm here in Portland. I love my Pilots, and that's led to a lot of watching of Gonzaga and St. Mary's this year. Obviously, Gonzaga seems to have taken a step back. St. Mary's seems as strong as ever. Is St. Mary's right now the best mid-major team in the country, or are there some other mid-major teams that after they get through conference tournament action, they could make a deep run, Sweet 16, Elite 8, maybe even Final Four that people aren't really talking about right now?
I really think, and I think I saw the questions like off air, and I was going to mention Gonzaga as kind of my sleeper team for the NCAA tournament because I feel like they are underrated right now just because, I mean, Ryan Nembhard is one of the best pure point guards in the entire country, and Gonzaga has the experience and pedigree to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament still, and St. Mary's is the best team in the WCC, and I think they're the best mid-major team in the sport, like you said, but I still buy that Gonzaga still has a higher ceiling than St. Mary's in the NCAA tournament because, I think for the last, few years, it's kind of been trending that St. Mary's has been better than Gonzaga. But I will say, I think Gonzaga is a sleeper team in the NCAA tournament. But a few others, like you said, mid-major teams. Drake is really good again. UC San Diego is looking like a team that could be dangerous. I think they're ranked number 40th on KenPom, which is just outrageous. And, there's a chance they, miss the NCAA tournament if they don't get that large bid, or not a large bid, sorry, the automatic bid in their conference tournament because UC Irvine is also a really, really good team in that league. So, yeah, those are some sleepers. But, yeah, I like Gonzaga. I still think they are capable of making a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, certainly been a bit of an advanced metrics darling this year. Gonzaga is without the quality wins. We're talking right now to Cameron Salerno, is a writer for CBS Sports. Make sure you follow him on X, where he's always giving it to you there at Cameron Salerno 1. Again, on X at Cameron Salerno 1. Cameron, let's turn to Sunday. The Big Ten regular season title could be decided as Wisconsin travels to East Lansing to face Michigan State, and Illinois heads to Ann Arbor to square off against the Michigan Wolverines. So they both could have went on a half quarter of those Mitten State teams. We'll find out which one of those squads from Michigan do you feel is the most vulnerable this weekend? And do you believe, though, conversely, maybe both emerge victorious? So what are your thoughts on Wisconsin, Michigan State, and my Illini taking on Michigan on the road?
I'm scared to say Michigan State just because I feel like I've been lower on them the entire season, and I think their fan base has crushed me for it. I know. I mean, that half court shot the other day was just unbelievable, and then for Michigan to follow up to win on a half court shot, that was pretty crazy. Shouts to Amari Burnett, stud. I watched him play in high school, so really good player. But going to Illinois is I think they are a dangerous team too. I mean, Kasparas Yakachunas is one of my favorite players in this upcoming draft. I think he can be a top 5 pick. So he's someone who I think is going to be a really fun player to watch in March Madness. But going to the games this week, and I think I have to say Michigan State is probably the more vulnerable team out of the bunch just because Wisconsin is so good. I mean, John Tonji is just an incredible player and a potential All-American type player. I mean, first-team All-American type player. So that's going to be a really tough matchup, but it is at Michigan State. If Michigan State wins, I mean, they are in a prime position to win the Big Ten title outright, potentially with another game against Michigan on, hanging in the balance. So I really like Michigan State. I think they are capable of being a deep NCAA tournament team, even though I said before the season they were going to finish, in the middle of the Big Ten standings. I was wrong. I'm Michigan State fans for underestimating Tom Izzo, but hey, you know what they say? It's March, so it's Tom Izzo time, and I think this team can make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. But going to Michigan too, Danny Wolf might be one of my favorite players to watch in college basketball. I saw him play earlier this season when they played USC. He reminds me a lot of Sengun on the Houston Rockets, just the way he moves and the way he plays. I really love that Michigan team. I love what Dusty May is doing in year one of the school. And I mean, Michigan is also a team who was won a lot of close games. I mean, I forget the exact stat off the top of my head, but I want to say it's like they won 9 straight games by less than 5 points in all their wins. I mean, they've had a few blowout losses, I think, to Purdue, but I mean they're winning games in dramatic fashion, and I think for the NCAA tournament, like that's how you kind of win some of those nitty gritty games. So I do think Michigan can go far in the NCAA tournament as well under Dusty May, but we'll see. I mean, I think it's people are waiting for Michigan to lose a close game, and they just haven't yet. So I think both Michigan teams will win this weekend. But if I had to pick one, if you made me pick one, I'd go with Michigan State.
Oh, interesting. All right. Send the hate mail to Cameron Salerno of Spartan fans. Hey, man, I've gotten it as well. I've gone down with that same ship, and they have been relentless in the disdain hurled in my general direction. Cameron, we'll get you out of here on this. Only got a couple of minutes left. In general, what one team, in your estimation, still isn't getting enough love on the national scene that could make a deep run in the NCAA tournament?
So I was going to say a few names, and I named one already, Gonzaga, so I won't say them. The team I'm trying to figure out still, and I just don't know where to place them, and I was super high on them coming into the season. I had them going to the Final Four, is UCLA. I just don't know what they can do in the NCAA tournament. They are so good defensively, but the offense is just, sometimes a mess. Mick Cronin is a great coach. He is very fiery and energetic. But at the same time, I just don't know what this team's floor is. Like, their floor is obviously a first-round exit in the NCAA tournament, or maybe even a first-round win. But their ceiling is, I mean, they can win 3-4 games in a row and go to the Final Four. I am very confident in that. Also, another team is Kentucky. I know I wouldn't really place them as like a sleeper just because they've won, so many kind of really good games. I mean, you look at their resume, they have wins over Duke, obviously. They beat Gonzaga in a really close game. They beat Tennessee twice. So I like Kentucky. I mean, their offense is really complex under Mark Pope, and I think he has, brought a new just a new energy to that school that John Calipari couldn't in his final days. So I love Kentucky, what they have, and with Mark Pope, and Lamont Butler is a absolute dog. Like, I love watching him play. Like, he is a defensive menace. Like, if Kentucky is going to go as far as Lamont Butler takes them, and like I said, I don't think Lamont Butler is necessarily Kentucky's best player, but he might be their most valuable player because when he was out with that shoulder injury, just Kentucky's defense looked not very good. And when you play teams like Alabama or, high scoring offense, like, you're going to need your defensive anchor on the floor. So Lamont Butler is going to be an X factor. I know fans may be familiar with him with San Diego State a few years ago. So I really like Kentucky and also UCLA. I just don't know who they are yet. Like, I can't figure them out. Like, they've had some really good wins this year and they've had some really horrific losses, like that Minnesota game a few days ago where they just blew a 17-point lead when Mick Cronin was going for his 500 career wins. So, just can't figure out what UCLA is yet.
We do know this. The over-under on F-bombs dropped by Cronin is set at 9.5 tonight. I'm pounding the over on that one, gentlemen. Another litmus test tonight.
I think it should be over under 1.5 or suit takeoffs because he always takes off his suit coat. And maybe you can get some plus money that he'll throw it across the court. I don't know. He just and that's the thing though. He's a great coach and he just has he's just one of the most unique coaches in the sport. Like him and Dan Hurley, their style is unconventional, but it works. So I think UCLA can be a sleeper, but I just can't figure them out yet. I just don't know what they're going to do in the NCAA tournament, but they're very intriguing. And if I was a number 2 seed and UCLA was a number 7 seed, I would not want to play them at all.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, we got another litmus test tonight, so we'll see what they bring to the table there at Mackey Arena. Awesome stuff from Cameron Salerno, writer for CBS Sports. Go read his excellent content and check him out on X at Cameron Salerno1. Cameron, we appreciate the time.
Thank you.
All right, there he goes. All right, and we got to go to a little siesta here on BetMGM tonight. When we come back, all Parlay Pete's going to drop on in. We're going to say